कितने पैसे चाहिए?
पैसा नहीं, इज्जत। मोहल्ले के चिरकुट लौंडे हरा रहे हैं फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स में। आप एक्सपर्ट हो, सिखाओ।
सिखाऊंगा तो जाने दोगे?
हाँ। फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।
Hello and welcome to the Outside View, and I welcome you to the mid show of Sri Lanka versus India's second ODI. So probably the scripts didn't change in this ODI as well. 171 is So I guess there was some network issue. I don't know from what end, but that it happens. But let's just welcome our panelists on board now to discuss the first innings between Sri Lanka and India. The second ODI, Annesha, Ghosh and Thirushkamini have joined me. Welcome both of you. So coming to you, Annesha, first. Just the first thoughts on what does the total look like to you? Was batting looking a little bit difficult in today's innings as well?
I think it was relatively more batting friendly, the conditions, than they had been in the first ODI. So Sri Lanka would be yet again disappointed that they got stuck at what is easily a subpar score on this track because it wasn't turning as much as it did in the previous match or even in the T20I leg of the tour in Dambulla. 173 again, they should be really kicking themselves because they did not get the partnerships up top the way they would have ideally liked to. Chamari Atapattu, as we spoke of, she proved to be the point of difference again because those big runs, those quick runs that we get from Chamari Atapattu, typically they did not come. There were some odd partnerships coming in courtesy of Amma Kanchana, Nilakshi Bisalva and Anushka Sanjeevni, but they came in few and far between as far as the frequency or the substantialness of them are concerned. So 173 again looks like far from defendable, and I think given the pitch doesn't have the kind of monsters it had in the previous game, this should be relatively easy for India to overhaul the target. They should not be faltering as much as they did in the previous match, but the hosts have only themselves to blame because they really looked clueless for the best part of the innings, especially their top five, Chamari Atapattu included, which is quite unlike of the batter she is and the kind of reputation she has, the caliber she brings onto the international circuit. So it would be a disappointing tale for Sri Lanka to be painting, to be projecting in a series decider of sorts, and they are very very close to squandering this series as well.
Well, before we speak further of Sri Lanka's batting unit, let's just have a look at the batting scorecard to see how the things panned out there. Of course, we were expecting a lot from Chamari Atapattu. We wanted to see the captain score some big runs, and probably that would have made a big difference, as Annesha rightly mentioned it for us. And then we saw Vishmi Gunaratne making her debut for Sri Lanka today. Couldn't do much with the bat there, just 3 runs, but of course, then we see those contributions coming in from Anushka Sanjeevni, 25 runs, Nilakshi De Silva, 32, Amma Kanchana, 47, and that is what helped Sri Lanka. So speaking of course, Amma Kanchana, she made it to the score today, and her innings was a defining one. Just fell a few runs short of her half century. Coming to you, Thirush, on that, how important was her innings today? Because probably if Sri Lanka has been able to score these 173 runs, she had played a big role in that.
Significantly, Amma Kanchana has played a very significant role in getting Sri Lanka to a decent total because as we all know that 173 is definitely not a very big total, very below par score. But even to get to some respectable total like a 173, she played a very, very important role. And also we all know that she was a new addition into the second ODI. She wasn't part of the first ODI, and she put her experience. She showed a lot of resilience as a batter, and being a lower order bat, she had taken up it upon her to handle the responsibility as a batter. So it feels, the whole Sri Lankan team would be disappointed because, especially the top order bats, they would have known had they stayed longer, and Amma Kanchana's innings would have helped them to get to a decent total of 240. But all credit to the way that she has played, and she had ensured that she was able to bat as long as possible. She was unbeaten. Truly commendable innings from her.
That was indeed a commendable innings coming in from her. But if you have to speak about the runouts, there were two runouts in today's game, Anushka Sanjeevani and Kabisha Dilhari there. Do you think, Annesha, it is just the nerves? Because probably in case of Kabisha Dilhari at least, we thought that probably there was not a single there and she could have avoided that, because considering the situation Sri Lanka was in, they needed somebody to stay back there and pile up more runs for the side.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be the case because Kavisha Dilhari showed a lot of promise at the start of the T20I series, and we expected a lot out of her heading into the subsequent matches. But that really hasn't come off, and probably she herself is feeling that disappointment in herself, that pressure. Call it what you want, but yeah, here is a player who seems to be wanting in confidence. She doesn't quite seem that confident batter as we saw her to be earlier in this tour and also on the Pakistan tour. And the last time when India toured Sri Lanka in 2018, she brought out a flurry of innovative strokes. She's not a power hitter, as is the case with most of the Sri Lankan batters, say for Chamari Athapattu, but she can access the reverse V with ease, which is not something you can say for even some of the best batters in the world. But she brings in that kind of confidence to her batting. But heading into the ODI leg of this tour, I don't think she is as confident as she had been feeling earlier on. Whatever be the reasons, that really did reflect in that no run that was there, the non-existent single that she went for. And credit should also be given to Yastika Bhatia. She had a fabulous day out there, with the gloves behind the stumps, adding to her three keeping dismisses from the previous game. She had a fourth day, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And the other run out is a contentious one because should we call it a stumping or a run out? But I would go for a run out because the keeper did collect the ball in front, and the batter was attempting a run. So as per the MCC laws, you would accord it under the run out category rather than the stumping category. But it does go to Yastika Bhatia, the wicket keeper, which should again do a lot of confidence, good to her confidence, because she has flipped Richa Ghosh to this particular role, and Richa Ghosh, as we've seen, is fielding out in the deep, waiting for her turn to prove a point with the bat, which hopefully she'll get a chance to do, maybe bat up the order, given it's this 174 odd that they are choosing. But overall, Yastika Bhatia has been very, very impressive, though at times she has looked like she too is trying to feel the contours of which way the ball might go, especially when keeping to the spinners. But overall, it's been a good show, and it just also reflects that Sri Lanka is not quite confident of how best to approach when put under pressure or when they're under the pump.
All in all, the scripts didn't change for Sri Lanka's batting unit, but we can say that for India's bowling as well. Let's have a look at the bowling scorecard before we start talking about the bowlers of India that they put up a good performance on board today. Of course, Renuka Singh Thakur, we know that she picked up 4 wickets in today's match. Meghna Singh with 2 wickets there. And at the end, we saw Deepti Sharma also coming in with those important wickets. The economy is something that we need to take into consideration. All the bowlers, even right from Harmanpreet Kaur to Harleen Deol, everybody had a decent economy there, and that's probably something that goes on to define why India was once again able to defend, once again able to stop Sri Lanka to that 173 score. But a fun fact here about Renuka Singh Thakur: she picked up 1 wicket in her first ODI, 2 wickets in her second ODI, 3 in her third ODI, which was the last one, and 4 wickets in her fourth ODI, which is today. What is it about her, Thirush, according to you, that is making her come out and make an impact? What's special about her so far?
Well, most certainly, I think it's her line and length, and she has been a good. She's got some prodigious swing initially. We do see she's been able to bring because as a bowler, as a fast bowler, to have that kind of a control and that kind of a command over the skill is what is making Renuka Singh set apart from the other bowlers. And also she's got into the team, and to to be very honest, when we started talking about this tournament, we were talking about who was going to take the responsibility of Julandi, who's somebody who has been taking the responsibility for time and again for so many years. So it's good to see a youngster, especially a fast bowler, able to absorb the pressure and perform under certain circumstances. And also, we do know that the Commonwealth Games are around the corner, so it is good to see. Especially, we were for a very long time we were looking for an fast bowler who will have such kind of deliverables. We also have seen after Julandi, we've seen Shikha Pandey for quite some time, giving the kind of support that was required for the Indian team opening bowling partnership. Good to see Renuka Singh with not much experience around in the bowling unit, and she has come out in bright colors.
We spoke about this in the pre-show as well, that that's one of the positives that Team India can see going forward. That's Renuka Singh's recent form. And if we have to speak about India's overall bowling performance in today's game, how would you sum up that for us, Annesha? Because we saw that today 8 bowlers were used in the first ODI. Pooja bowled just 4 overs there. How would you sum up the decisions made by Harmanpreet Kaur when it comes to bowling today?
It played to the script, the expected script for the best part, because we knew that given the success Harmanpreet had utilizing as many as 8 bowlers in the previous game, and she also used her part-timers to good effect in the T20I leg of the tour, we did not expect her to hold back in this particular game. Mostly because this is pretty much the series decider. They win this, they have the series in the bag. What I liked about Harmanpreet's approach was the fact that she did not introduce herself, Harleen Deol or Shefali Verma, early on. She let the frontline pure bowlers take the spotlight, ensure they struck as many blows as possible, especially given how Renuka Singh and Meghna Singh, again, the unsung hero, she was spectacular yet again, playing that second fiddle, but letting her her younger counterpart in Renuka Singh be in the spotlight, bask in the glory of getting that career-based score for Renuka Singh and Meghna Singh again set the tone, took the wickets that India needed, and then Harmanpreet introduced her part-timers, including herself, which is what I liked in the previous game. It looked like she was experimenting, but here was a more, well-planned approach on the part of the captain in terms of making sure they tried their best. The intent was very much there on the part of the Indian captain and her side to get the frontline bowlers to do the talking and inflict as much damage as possible early on in the first 30-35 overs. And then she brought on the part-timers and used them reasonably well again, because once you lose your top 6-7, there's not much of a fight back. They can stage in a format like ODI or one of the longer formats even. So they were used brilliantly again by Harmanpreet, and to her credit and to the bowling unit's credit, they all performed reasonably well. With Deepti Sharma brilliantly rounding it out with a double wicket 50th over. That would have again given a huge chunk of the momentum, swayed it in favor of India heading into the chase, which is again should be ideally wrapped up without batting much of an eyelid.
So that was about the first innings. Let's move on to the chase now. And once again, we here talk about Smriti Mandhana. She's a big match player, of course, Thirush, but at the moment, we are seeing that India's batting unit has looked like a little bit of fragile batting unit there. So in this case, how important it becomes for someone like Smriti Mandhana to find her rhythm back, because, of course, the total is just 174, but we saw in the last game that it went deep enough. How important it is for Smriti Mandhana to get a good start with Shefali Verma at the top?
No doubt, Smriti is a world-class player. We've seen how dominating she can be as a batter, and she's even dictated terms for just not a team like Sri Lanka, but for any team across the world. Even if the best of the bestest, she's been able to dictate terms. I think it's just a rough patch that she's going through at this point, and I certainly feel she would also feel it inside her that she wants to get a lot runs for the Indian team, because being the vice captain, there's a lot more responsibility, and we also see that India are struggling a bit in terms of batting. Not that, I mean, a lot is dependent on how Harman has been doing at this point. I'm certainly very sure it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of one innings that we would, I mean, you know how blistering that she can come back and the impact that she can bring. Because whenever we say that India is struggling to get that once, or we're struggling in the chase or struggling with it in terms of batting, I think it's just a matter of just one inning which will pull her back into the stream of runs. And I'm sure with no time, we would never be able to see India struggle with the kind of form that we are in terms of batting.
That's something that all the Indian fans would be hoping to see, a special innings coming in from Smriti Mandhana. But we always speak of partnerships, Annesha. It becomes very important for someone to stay there, to build up those partnerships, important, and keep the run rate in control. That's what we saw in the last game when Harmanpreet Kaur and Harleen Deol were on the field there. Talking specifically of Harleen Deol, she was rotating the strike good enough. She was trying to hit those big shots even when the field was widespread. So how important is the role of the middle order once again for India? Because they wouldn't, of course, want that the top order collapses. But if in case that happens, the responsibility again will fall on the middle orders. And the Sri Lankan bowlers, mind you, have been in a good form.
Yes, especially their off spinners, their finger spinners like Ranavira and Oshadi Rana Singh, who have set up amazing contests, especially against their premier batter in the lineup, that is Smriti Mandhana. So in case there is yet another top order no show, wickets fall quickly and they fall in a heap, then the middle order has to put their hand up again. And would we expect Harmanpreet to again play that anchor role, stitch those crucial partnerships? Yes, but Harleen Deol, should she get an opportunity, she would look to make a more considerable impact in this game, because she's had a good tour so far, good series in terms of how she's gone about in the field, looks positive. Her body language is amazing to see every time, the camera pans onto her. And with the ball too, she has done reasonably well. So Harleen Deol, given the fact that, this is second last ODI they played before the mega event, which is the Commonwealth Games, this is also an audition for her for the longer term picture, because unlike, both her and Jemimah Rodrigues are pretty much on the same boat. They are under a lot of pressure in terms of performing in the very limited opportunities they get, because if one does better, there may be a possibility of the other person getting into the other limited overs formats, because Jemimah Rodrigues was picked only for the T20I, Harleen Deol only for the ODI. So there's some competition going on there, and we are still trying to figure out where best to fit Renuka Ghosh. So we still need her. Does India still need her in the playing 11? So lots of permutations and combinations are being worked out in the backroom, which is why Harleen Deol will be cognizant, will be wary of the fact that while her place doesn't look under threat for the timing at the moment, she should be optimizing any opportunity she gets with the bat, because that's the only thing that's going to decide her future with this ODI side for the longer term, because Mithali Raj is no longer there. Yastika Bhatia pretty much seems to have ensconced her place in the ODI side, and now with her having performed the way she has with the gloves, it's unlikely that she will be, omitted without much of a reason being put forth. So Harleen Deol, the ball is in her court. Should there be another top order collapse, she should look to be in the spotlight, take the onus on herself, and not even let Harmanpreet be that figure front and center. It should be Harleen Deol today.
The ball is in her court, and that would be something going on in Sri Lanka's mind as well, because we know that the bowlers have done a good job. They made things difficult for India when India was chasing 171, and that's something that they would want to do today as well. Renuka Ranavira registered her career best performance in last ODI. She picked up 4 wickets there. She's deceived the Indian batters in flight as well. What is that? What is it about her, Thirush, that you can tell us? Because we've seen her perform in probably every single game Sri Lanka has tried. Because we saw that if it was not for her, the total seemed not so challenging for India to chase. But at some point, we were like, India might just lose the game, and credits for that would have went to Renuka Ranavira.
Renuka Ranavira has been a very experienced cricketer and experienced campaigner in the Sri Lankan side. No doubt she's been able to bring the kind of performance that she's bringing. What has been in the case of the excellence that is, the threats that she's posing to the Indian batters would simply be because of the versatility that she's been able to bring with her bowling. Like there are moments there where she's able to toss up the ball and generate or use the wicket and get the kind of turn that is required. And also she has that arm ball which comes in straight, which also confuses the batter a bit, because especially in the last game when we saw, when you have a bit of a turn and when you have certain balls that are straightening up, it gets difficult for the batters to understand what kind of shot that they want at that point. So that way, I think, and also a special mention about the line and length that she's been able to, the control that she has with her bowling, because that is very important as a left arm spinner. And any prominent spinner, just not Renuka Ranavira, from any team, we'll expect them to take that responsibility on them and bowl the particular line and length that she is. So no doubt she's been able to take it upon herself and deliver it time and again.
Okay, then, prediction time. Let's know from our experts who are their pick of the batters. We'll come to you first, Annesha.
India series, India and Sri Lanka trying to get a consolation win after this match ends. What I would love for Chamari Atapa to do, given it's yet another underpass score, is go on the offensive from the get-go, which is bring in as many fielders close in, put in those slips, get a short extra cover, some such, put some pressure, because the wickets are going to decide the fate of this series. On the part of the Indian side, I would look for them to show more of their mojo. They've really, really struggled. They should try to prove a point as to whether or not they're actually as susceptible to spin as they've proven to be over the course of this series. But regardless, they should be able to overhaul this without much of an issue.
One name, your pick of the batter?
We've been backing this player to do well for a long, long time, and given we've seen glimpses where she's timed a couple of balls well, I'm going to stick to somebody I backed to do well in the previous game as well, and that's Smriti Mandhana, because when she is on song, it just lights up the screen you're watching the game on, and should she be able to find some form, it will really make a difference to how the team goes into the final game of this tour. And given it's the business end, they should look for Smriti to put her hand up and show what she's really got. She's a class player, and all it takes is that one knock to find her confidence, regain her confidence, and Smriti should be my pick.
Hope that knocks comes today in the second ODI and India win the series is what Indian fans will hope. But coming to you, Thirush, your pick?
Well, I'll have to go with Annesha again, because I think my pick will be Smriti again, simply because the world-class player that she is, it's just not me. I think most people across India would want to see her bat longer, and the kind of style and class that she brings in, I definitely would want to see her amongst runs. And in case if she has been able to stand longer, I really don't think this chase is going to be that difficult for India. Or in fact, they might want to look at finishing it much, much earlier.
The entire nation is willing on Smriti Mandhana to score runs, and our experts have also picked her as the one who would probably shine in today's contest. It is interesting to see both the experts on the same page, but are we going to say the same result? Well, we'll find it out when we meet you in the post-match show. And until then, you stay tuned to Women's Cricket Zone for all the updates on women's cricket.
ये पट्टा अब सीख तो गए, अब तो जाने दो मुझे।
ठहर जाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई तो कहाँ ढूंढेंगे आपको?
फैंटेसी अखाड़ा का 24/7 कस्टमर सर्विस है, आपकी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करवा देंगे।
कल जाने देंगे।
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।